7 of which are starred. Did we want to unstar any of those? Councillor Taylor, did you want to unstar anything?
Item number 6, please.
Item number 6. Okay, and while Councillor Vorster has not quite arrived yet, but I'm sure he's probably on a state road. Okay. All right, that's unstarring 7. So if I could have someone to move 1, 3, 4, 5 and 8. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Peter Young. Did we, item 2, conflicts of interest declarations, were there any that haven't been declared yet? No, rightio. So we'll go on to item 6, which is the response to the petition, one-way traffic calming for surface. And go to you, Councillor Taylor.
Keep sitting down.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I just want to talk, and the process we went through with the officers and Renee and the team was fantastic. When we first got the petition and we did a survey, we found the results were very, very poor, and we had some concerns of the way the survey went out. And with ourselves and Renee and the team, we'd just like to really thank them. We were able to have a really good community consultation. We got to quite a few residents, and I really believe the right outcome was achieved through this particular report. So just to thank the team and the working with the community to get the right result.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Taylor. Was there any other comments on item 6 there? If I could have a mover. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Caldwell. All those in favour? That's carried. Good morning, Councillor Vorster. We're going on to item 7, unstarred. Councillor O'Neill would like to ask a question of the officers.
Thanks, Chair. Just through you to the Director, there's been some little bit of a chat in the bulletin recently from Andy McKinnon about the legislation around the World Heritage Surfing Reserve. I'm just wondering if we've had any update through the state to Council.
Through you, Madam Chair, no, there hasn't been, other than we've had some discussions which Councillor Pauline Young has also been involved in with the state. So we understand that they are looking at these things. But as you've raised this particular question, Councillor O'Neill, just like to provide a clarification, if I may. There was a comment made, I think, by Mr McKinnon in that article that, you know, the beaches would not be protected if it was, you know, the reason for this new legislation is that they're currently not protected. And just like to provide the clarification that there is both state and Commonwealth legislative protections already available. And in particular, there's the Planning Act through the State Development Assessment provisions. With the state, there's the Environmental Protection Act 1994 from the state. And of course, as the report notes, the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act 1999 from the federal government.
Yeah, just one more question, if I can, Chair. So we've really got no idea what this legislation would look like at the moment still.
Through you, Madam Chair, no, although the focus of discussions appears to be on the more, let's call it operational aspects of interest to the surfing community, so interactions with other users, protections for safe surfing, if you like, seem to be the flavour of the conversation to date.
Thanks. I thought that might have been covered through our stewardship committee, but anyway, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think it is covered through our stewardship committee, and that has been part of the feedback that we've given the state. So I think they haven't quite appreciated the depth of our and the broad nature of our interest in the World Surfing Reserve and our actions, as noted in this report, on items like safe surfing and protection for all users of that particular part of the coastline.
Thanks, Councillor O'Neill. I'll go to Councillor Vorster.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I was just wondering, with your indulgence, if my arrival at the meeting could be noted between consideration of item 6 and item 7 at 2 minutes past 9 this morning.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions there on item 7 this morning? No? So if I could have someone to move? Moved by councillor Pauline Young, seconded by councillor Owen Jones. Thank you. Our next, the item 8 and item 9, item 8 we've already covered. Item 9 is in closed session.
Don't think we voted on that.
Oh, so we didn't, sorry. Thank you, councillor Caldwell. All moved by councillor Young, seconded by councillor Owen Jones. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillors, we're now in open. If we could have our streaming back. So, councillors, we've had a good discussion, lots of questions, and that item 9, which is our autonomous vehicle trial route identification. We have a recommendation up there on the screen. I've got someone to move it. Moved by Councillor Vorster, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillors, that's all of our agenda items. Do we have any general business items? Councillor Vorster.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've forwarded this general business item to the Minutes Secretary. So, Sandy, I'm not sure if you have a copy of it. It's one that I'd flagged with the Director. And it reads that information relating to the Laver Drive and Robina Parkway intersection contained in the Robina Central Planning and Transport Study Report and its attachments be made non-confidential and publicly available. Happy to talk to it if I have a seconder. Thanks, Madam Chair. The City commissioned a report, the Robina Central Planning and Transport Study. It's a great report, and my recollection is that it was unanimously endorsed by Council some time ago. For whatever reason, and I can't quite recall why, the report was made completely confidential rather than using the standard words that it be made confidential, but for those parts that were deemed non-confidential by the CEO. Our budget documents and many general business items and council resolutions talk about this intersection, but I and the council have never been in a position to talk about the issues at that intersection, traffic volumes at that intersection, and what solutions we may want to pursue by putting deserved pressure on the state government for the traffic that it induces at this intersection. So the purpose of this general business item is to surgically make sections in that report concerning this intersection non-confidential, so I and others don't fall afoul of a requirement to keep it confidential. Now, just by the by, when council considered this originally,
I was going to say, through you, if you were going to be surgical, did you want to have the standard bit about the CEO being able to, subject to the CEO being able to be surgical? Because otherwise you're just releasing it all.
Well, I'm just releasing the section pertaining to this intersection, but I'm happy to take that guidance. So information relating to the Laver Drive and Robina Parkway intersection contained in the Robina Central Planning and Transport Study Report and its attachments be made ... So Councillor Owen-Jones, you have some...
Confidential except those parts deemed by the CEO to remain confidential.
Sure.
In accordance with blah, blah,
Okay, so if our Minute Secretary can use some of those words, I'd appreciate it. And plainly, if the Acting Chief Executive Officer doesn't furnish as much information as I think should reasonably be in the public domain concerning this intersection, I'll have to come back with another general business item to make it completely public. But yeah, anyway, there we go. Oh, sorry, and I didn't finish. When this report was originally considered, I think in 2019, I made a number of declarations about the Robina Central planning area, which I take are no longer required to be made. But in this case, I'm dealing with a specific intersection that affects a significant number of people in the local government area, so I don't feel moved to make a declaration, but I thought I'd flag that.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't just make the whole report non-confidential, subject to the CEO's limitations? I mean, why just the one intersection? Why don't you just have the whole thing out there?
Well, I suppose my interest presently is to respond to questions concerning this intersection, and while we could make the whole report non-confidential in the fullness of time, which I'm absolutely supportive of, I wouldn't want to delay potentially putting this information out there because it is quite voluminous, and also since having endorsed that report, there have been some changes to our transport plans, including the Gold Coast Central East-West passenger study, and I'm not really alert to whether there may be some outdated information in that report, which is now conflicting with things that we've done. So I'd rather have that broader conversation with the director about the whole report. Maybe that's updated because of the Olympic Games, I'm not sure. But my interest is this intersection at the moment.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Or input, Councillor Owen Jones, moved by Councillor Forster, sorry, Herman. Seconded Councillor Owen Jones. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillors, if there are no other general business items and no more discussion,